This one's fairly hardline. But if you talk or use your mobile phone during a theatre performance, a live performance, or potentially during a cinema performance, I know it's not live, I would taser you.
Let's move on to our next department and working out what we're going to do. It's culture, media and sport.
So this one's fairly hardline. But if you talk or use your mobile phone during a theatre performance, a live performance, or potentially during a cinema performance, I know it's not live, I would taser you.
Tasers?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a big yes from me.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
100%.
well, you will know this.
I love this.
Yeah.
I had to tell someone off, but on Saturday night for using
did you
their
do
phone. I just went, "What are you doing?" Number one, they're on their phone. I went, "What?" Like, I'm stood here. What are you doing? I used to be much more polite and going, "Oh, what's going on there?" But now I just go, "Why?" I've been you can wait 10 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, it's never important.
If the house is burnt down, you may as well enjoy the next 10 minutes because your life is ruined from now on.
Or leave. Like,
Yeah.
just check the message, leave.
Yep. I've had people pick up their phone. There's a very famous Jimmy Carr story of a man answering his phone in the front row of one of Jimmy's gigs. And the guy goes, "I'm just at the comedy." "No, not really." Which is absolutely damning, Yes, absolutely on board with this.
Yeah.
Have you had a bad experience with it then?
Almost every show I now go to, there is something since COVID. I don't know what has happened
Yeah.
I
since
agree.
COVID.
100%.
Nobody, and it's not rocket science, everybody, as to how to behave in a theatre.
Yeah.
Nobody can do it. Nobody can sit there. They'll either chat and discuss the show. Great if you want. I'm all for people being engaged and discussing the performance. That's what the interval's for, okay? Yeah. Or afterwards when you are on the bus or the tube going home. During the show, shush. Let them. You shouldn't be singing along if you've gone to see Mamma Mia, and it's those types of shows.
They
Tina.
are becoming a real problem, aren't they?
Yeah.
Are you a big theatre goer then?
Yeah, generally.
What's your preference on theatre shows? What do you love?
Generally, just Mary Poppins the musical, which I have seen 40 times. And
Genuinely 40 times?
Genuinely 40 times. I went to the last ever night in 2020. When did it end? Did it end this year?
On
Yes,
Compton
2023.
Street.
Yeah. At the Prince Edward. I was there on the last night, and that was my 40th time. It has been going since 2004, so this is 40 times since then. Still quite a lot. And I've seen it all over the world.
Sort of twice a year.
Yes.
Average.
Well, let's put it this way. When it opened in October 2019 at the Prince Edward, in the revival, I had only this is awful when you actually think about it. I had only seen Mary Poppins the musical 12 times.
Oh gosh, so you really...
So I saw it. I mean, there was COVID in the middle of it, but I did see it quite a lot between October 2019 and January 2023.
Do you so that is a lot of times. I've probably seen my one of those.
What's yours?
Book of Mormon.
Yes, fun. Nice.
I've seen Book of Mormon probably 12 or 13 times.
Okay, I've seen it
and then
twice. I think.
And then Phantom I've probably seen 7 or 8 times.
Okay, Lauren.
I'm not a musical person at all, but I'm
Well,
in
that's
full
a shame. You're going to have to resign from government then, isn't
Yes.
It's in disgrace.
Yes, the culture brief's taken
I'd say
away from you.
you're not going far enough, especially on smartphones and also use of phones in public life more generally. I think there's real votes in this. What I'd say as well is on buses or public transport, this should be expanded into not just tasering, but, multiple of tasering leads up to a deportation, potentially. I think it is specifically the post-COVID thing, because we seem to have been transported back to when I was a kid, so 2007, of people just blaring their music out of their phones.
Yes.
And I've only noticed it post-COVID. I don't know if you guys have noticed the same thing. Or...
I think so. My sense of it is post-COVID, people are naughty.
Yep.
Like audience,
Yeah.
especially I do so many shows where audience members are just sort of not like awful, but just like naughty children, like chatting with each other. Like I told someone off the other day because they started talking. I was doing a show and they started talking, and I went, "Sorry, what's going on there?" And the woman went, "Oh, sorry, it's just you reminded me of a story that I've got." And I went, "Which nobody's paid to hear. So why don't you shut the fuck up and let me tell it? Because believe it or not, this is really crafted, mine, and I don't think yours will be."
Yes.
And it's such a nightmare. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
But it's everyone's ego has become so inflated that they think that take that woman, her story is actually in that moment the most important thing.
Yes.
And it isn't.
Exactly.
And
do what you do at a dinner party. Wait politely for them to finish and then tell your better story.
Or use the interval. Use the after the show. There's a time and a place.
Yes, it's getting really frustrating. And that you say about the trains as well.
Awful.
Is I was on the train last week coming into London, and a girl came on and started playing her music. She was having a little cry and playing her music out loud on the speaker. She was French, and I don't know if that's got anything to do with
Very
it.
emotional.
And I just went, I'm really sorry, but this is the quiet coach. Can you turn that off because we don't want to hear it? I was with my girlfriend, and she reacted as if I screamed at her. She went, you need to stop yelling at me about this. I need to listen to it. And I went, I understand you think you're having a main character moment, but you aren't. Can you please go and listen to it in a part of the train that isn't the quiet coach? Because we've
Well,
sat
I would
here.
also argue, though, even listening it to the normal carriage
It
is
would be
still
unacceptable.
inappropriate.
But I was like, we're sat reading our books. We don't need to, and no one else wants to say anything. But no one wants to hear this. And she said I was being aggressive, and I wasn't. I was being as polite as possible because I knew that it was going to cause a problem with her. She was angry at me for asking her to stop.
No.
Crazy.
Has there been any attempt to sort of limit how people use their smartphones in any government
So it was
before?
actually in New York, the then Mayor Michael Bloomberg introduced a ban on using them in exactly what we've discussed: phones being banned in theatres, movie houses, and concerts and libraries. Which, you know,
And how did it work, or did it?
I mean, I imagine New York's pretty crime-ridden at the minute, and I think that's allowing the use of phones probably low down the agenda when there's people.
I think in America
stabbing and
as well,
shooting.
like in the grand scheme of things, we're like, no more phones, please. Guns, bring them in.
Yes.
I think this is really important. I think lots of things are being ruined that are nice for people because other people want to enjoy them in a selfish way.
Yes.
So I love this idea. I'm
Marvellous.
so on board with this. And I think the public generally will enjoy this as well. Even though they are the ones causing the issues, I think people do like the idea of these sorts of things being banned.
Yes, I think it's in everybody's best interests.
Absolutely. This is fantastic stuff.
I should clarify that the voltage on the taser would be quite low. So I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, sorry. I've sort of really skimmed over the tasering.
I thought
here.
you might pull me up more on that.
So, is it a tasering for the first offence?
You could maybe get asked to not do it.
And then
if
it's
you
tasered.
do, yes. And actually, in New York, they're much better. The ushers are much better. I mean, it's a profession in New York, and sort of being an usher or an usherette in a theatre in New York is a career.
Yeah.
And they will flash a torch in your face.
Yes.
Whereas over here,
It's more sort of teenagers that are doing jobs in university over here, the ushers.
yeah, and they don't like confrontation, which is quite a British thing. But whereas in New York, they love confrontation.
So I think, are we trying to get over the Britishness by going, it's straight to tasers? Because then there's no confrontation. You just get you just get tasered.
Yeah, and if you don't want to be tasered, guess what? Don't do it.
And arguably, the first few taserings would send a message to people that they then know.
Yes.
Because they go, this isn't really going to happen. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh gosh, someone was tasered at Cats.
Yes.
I mean, if you're going to talk through any of them, Cats is the one. I think.
Yes.
It's
To be
not
fair,
for me.
it won't happen during Cats. That's fine.
No, like, look, in the second half of Cats, most people have left by the time, I think.
Yeah.
But that was
Jellicle
my opinion.
ball
of
over.
it.
Go.
Yeah. Yeah, look, the thing is with you, I think, is what quite interesting is like your premiership going forward. We do have this veneer of politeness, and we want everyone to be lovely, but there is consequences.
I think if you don't have consequences, what's the point?
Yeah, I like this. It's not just nice words and please and thank yous. There is violence.
Yes. But
I'm really getting a picture of you as a man.
Well advertised violence.
Okay, look, I'm a big fan of this. I think this will make everyone's life better. And also, look, I think the theatre is so expensive and lots of people don't have access to it, and then it's ruined, so they don't want to go again.
Yes, theatre is not cheap.
No.
It is not cheap. And some people have saved up for months, weeks, years to afford that ticket. And then some twit next door then chats all the way through it, starts taking photos.
I also would say then, we should maybe, as well as this, I think the tasering is a great idea. If you are tasered, you are also legally obligated to pay for a ticket for someone who can't afford the theatre.
The two people either side of you, not in your party.
Lovely.
Yes. So if we've all gone, and let's say I got tasered, that would be a hypocrite, but let's say I got tasered, I'm not paying for your tickets because you're my party. I'm paying for the people next to you.
Because their night's been ruined by it. What are we going to do with the taser? Is it going to happen on the spot in the show, or are they pulled over after the show and tasered in a quiet room?
Then maybe you have to wait until the end of a song when there's clapping. Then you shout taser, 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 fire it.
Or,
and then
hear me out, do we want to sort of say, for the sort of sending the message point of view, do we want to wait for the interval and then line up all the people who've been on the phones.
Gosh, why not?
Taser them on stage.
Taser them on stage in front of the fire curtain.
Yes. They can fall into the orchestra
Yeah,
pit.
but look, it's also, I think it's a great idea because people used to love a public flogging.
Yes.
And it's sort of a very middle class way of bringing that back.
Yes. I like this.
I really like this.
We'll workshop this
Yeah.
with my one of my
I
commissions.
think, look, I don't even think this is going to be a problem to pitch this to the public. I think this is, especially look with the chattering classes who obviously
Yep.
love the theatre.
Yes,
you know,
was there-
it might be that it's a problem that it's seen as a bit of a thing for the liberal elite.
Yeah.
But, you know, who cares?
This is
Yeah.
when the public turned on Just Stop Oil, when they started disrupting Les Mis. They didn't care beforehand. When Les Mis was interviewed,
Well, look, I mean, the tasering of Just Stop Oil in the interval of Les Mis, I think, would be quite a popular
Oh, yeah.
move
Yeah,
these
well,
days.
that's said Les Mis. I don't like Les Mis as a show, so that's fine.
No,
can
I wasn't
ruin
too
that.
bothered about Les Mis.
No.
My dad left Les Mis. He walked out after 10 minutes. And if you
Oh.
ask him now what he thinks of Les Mis, he goes, man steals bread, sings for 3 hours. That's his opinion on it.
I'm with him.